In the service of ire.
Welcome back to Code A. It's time for the final best of 3, Zerg versus Zerg between RorO and DRG.
Exactly, we have another Casper player up against an ESF player, and today the elephants are a little bit of an endangered species. 2 of them already out, down in Code A.
As you can see here, Polt did knock out the Terminator. He's going to remain in Code S.
From now on, I will only call him John. Every single time I see him, he's John to me right now. He was the one player who was able to stop the Terminator. Next week we will see him again though. Terminator that is.
Yes.
Protoss player for Casper's 8 team.
We got a long week of up and down matches next week. A bunch of content for you guys to watch. See some of your favorite players battling it out, like Flash, for example. And any player that you wanted to see who made it out of the first round of Code A is going to be thrown into that arena.
Next week is going to be a little bit insane. 5 days we will have the up and down matches, and then we have another GSTL match. This is going to be pretty crazy. But now we start things off with another Zerg versus Zerg. Well, not another, but the first Zerg versus Zerg of the day. It's our last match. We had a seed for RorO, and DongRaeGu come down from Code S, successful in the OSL, but will he be able to play a part in the GSL Code S next season?
Look at his record, 48 and 18. This guy has played so many matchups, and he has above a 70% win ratio. He is one of the best Zerg players in the world, and he's playing against RorO, one of the best Kespa Zergs in the world right now. He did get a seed for a reason, and only one of these players will get straight into Code S. DongRaeGu, like you said, he won his OSL match yesterday. He's in OSL finals. He has not been preparing for this matchup.
Yeah, the question remains, how much time and practice did he put into his mirror match, into his ZVZ? And how much could RorO really practice? This is one of the things that we are going to find out soon, though. The first map is going to be Abyssal City. The players are getting ready here. We want to see who's going to advance. Will it be the Casper player? Will it be RorO? Or do we have another ESF player taking the win today? DRG, he's ready. The game about to start at the GSL Code A. The third round brought to you by Carl Wolf. Abyssal City, and to the right we have in red the Casper Zerg. His ideas.
삼성전자 칸 로로.
RorO. Street Fighter voice getting really excited when he's playing. A huge fan.
Yeah. And of course his opponent from the team MVP, OSL finalist currently. His ideas.
MVP 동래구.
Names himself after where he's from in Busan, in fact.
Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about these 2 players when it comes down to the Zerg versus Zerg. What exactly do we know about RorO? To be honest with you guys, we don't know too much about his Zerg versus Zerg. Yes, he played a few games in total, roughly like 12, and he won most of them. But a lot of these matches were played at the WCS Asia finals, and the problem is that he was up against opponents like Slam. And I don't want to take anything away from the Asian players, but it's just the fact that the Koreans in Asia are dominating. Yeah. And RorO is no exception here. So this is not really the kind of games that you should base your assumptions on.
Yeah, this is not the Korean matchup list. This is not Korean TLPD that we're looking at. It's just all the information we have from the Chinese players.
Exactly. So at this point, we don't know too much about RorO's ZVZ. At least we don't know enough to give you information that really are valid or have a good basis. And then we have DRG, a player who was known to be the best Zerg versus Zerg player for a long time. But if you just look at his match history, televised matches of course, then the problem for DRG is that the last games that he actually played in ZVZ were back in the days when we had the WCS Korea playing.
Yeah, he lost to Effort.
Exactly, he lost to Effort at that time, and this was kind of when DRG had his slump. He lost in the most important game in the GSTL. He lost it a day after he was defeated in the semifinals of Code S. He couldn't go to Busan, and from this point on he had this phase for like, I would say 2 weeks, maybe 3, where he looked, I don't want to say bad. Shaky. Yeah, he looked shaky. He looked just completely not on top of his game. A little bit shaken, as Wolf already mentioned. So, how strong is he these days in Zerg versus Zerg? Most of the opponents that he had to face since then in the GSL, in the OSL, were Terran players or Protoss players. And today he has to prove his EVZ once again. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to prevail here, because this is exciting. DRG, yesterday, going to the finals, defeating MC. But how much did he practice his Zerg Mirror?
Yeah, that's going to be the question here. One thing to note here is that RorO's gas is a little bit later, and DongRaeGu also had his hatchery up at a different timing for him. So these things are going to come into play just a little bit. The speed being a few seconds away, like it is on the map like this, doesn't come into play too much, but in certain specific scenarios, DongRaeGu could actually have that lucky run by because of this, or he could get that lucky surround. Just depends on what type of builds both players go for. DongRaeGu going for a Baneling Nest doesn't necessarily mean aggression, but he is making 4 more lings right now.
The thing about DRG is that he loves to be aggressive. He's one of the players who starts with a 10 pool quite often. Not on a map like Abyssal City, the distances between the two starting positions is huge. But with the fast speed that he has, he can go for an aggressive style, and there are 10 additional Zerglings. It certainly looks like he wants to put some pressure onto RorO and is not timid and staying in his base.
One of the problems with this map, though, is the distance, of course, and also that the Overlord placement for RorO is going to allow him to see everything. Everything he's doing is completely known to him. This happens on most maps, so on this map, he just is going to know everything. He's making 20 links, by the way. They're just popping out right now. It looks like he wants to wait a little bit longer. Now he's going to run in with speed. Baneling Nest for RorO is done just in time for him to make some Banelings, but he just made 7 drones, so this is really scary for him. He needs a Spine Crawler now.
But he has 4 Banelings on the way, and they're already blocking the ramp. The Queen also in position, and with the Spine Crawler that he builds, RorO should be able to defend.
Those are the only lings he has, though, those Banelings, so he doesn't have any other lings to defend. And if DongRaeGu gets in there with his own Banelings, this could be devastating.
Oh, he gets into the mineral line. He takes on a few Harvester. 4 in total. He kills 4.
And now he's just going to try to target down the links. Oh, that was a great trade. 1 for 1.
Oh, wow.
1 for 1 again.
Oh my god, RorO messing up his micro a little bit, his unit control. This was really well executed by DRG.
Yeah, the Spine Crawler is done. That's going to make things a little bit harder for DongRaeGu to approach. And he's still got so many Banelings left.
He's running in and he's trying to take down Harvesters. Oh, where is he actually going with those? He wants to hit his opponent's Zerglings. In total, he kills 9 drones. That's quite a lot. Now the drone count is 41 against 31.
Yeah, he killed a few more there, but the lair is halfway done for RorO in his main base.
A really, really fast lair for ZVZ, and this is very interesting. RorO loses Harvesters. He's now down in economy. He lost quite a bit here, but still.
Yeah, DRG is adding 3 gas, but RorO is already mining from 3 gas right now. And I'm thinking we're going to see a Spire here. It's possible he does something really weird like a Nidus, but I think the Spire will be the... Oh, close. That was really close.
And now the lair is about to be done. DRG decides to go into Roaches here, plays it a bit more standard, I would say. And for RorO, what are we gonna see? He has the resources and he's going for the infestation tech.
Yeah, really interesting choice on the map at this size, but he's got enough defense set up to where this is not really a risky choice by him. He doesn't really know what DRG is doing back at home. DRG could also have a layer up and he could be going for Mutas as well. That choice is interesting, but I like it. Oh, wow. So many lings out for DRG. One good Baneling hit to change the game.
You know, the micro for DRG is exceptional here.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's really great, and he's just zoning his opponent out so well. If he keeps it up like this, then I have to say that RorO is in a bit of trouble.
Oh, that could have been better.
Could have been better, but still, he makes this work. If you look at resources lost, they are dead even, but DRG plays this really well. Now the Pathogen Glance has been started. Arriving on Lair Tech, DRG decides to go into a Speed Roaches. No additional tech for him, just enough.
He's got a 6 drone lead right now. He's able to use that. And this Baneling will really zone RorO out. He tries to get in the main and he succeeds though. This is huge. He's going to get the Queen.
Yeah, this was a little bit weird. Why did DRG run away with the Baneling? He was in the perfect position to save his base.
Wow, barely saves the Queen.
Yeah, doesn't even lose the Queen. That was important. But
oh, these lings on the right side. That was close too. Those Banelings almost finished.
Yeah, I saw them. But yeah, it was a little bit odd that he didn't keep the Baneling that he had on the ramp and just waited for the Zerglings to try to run up. Could have taken down a lot of them, but in the end, no harm, no foul.
He sees the infestation pit, and the 5 infestors are on the way, but I think with the amount of roaches DongRaeGu has out, He's not going to attack, he's just going to hold his third base and use the Lings to poke if RorO moves out too aggressively. I mean, he's up 30 supply here. He's got this massive Ling army, and he's forcing RorO to make so many spines right now. Because he knows RorO has very few actual attacking units. He needs to buy time for the investors. DongRaeGu is making a lot of Banelings here, and this could get really weird.
That was also not the best trade for RorO, if I
no, yeah, you're certainly right.
It was a little bit odd. He had the perfect chance to do it, but look at the supply. 20 supply up ahead. Of course, with those investors, he has to be careful and nice bundle.
I'm surprised he's actually attacking into this. He's just asking for trouble with that many spine crawlers.
That chain bundle, you know, that was a lot of energy for 5 roaches.
Banelings also are not really going to be very effective. The spine crawlers will gun many of them down before they can even get in. Plus, he can just lock them in place with one single fungal. So DongRaeGu is just basically, he's putting on pressure. I think he's committing a little bit too much. He should more so be backing off here while he takes his third.
But those infestors are out of energy. They used most of the energy on the fungals for those few units that were there. So that's a bit odd. But now, well, we have the third base up for DRG, and this is the one thing that he could do. While applying this much pressure, he was able to push RorO back. RorO is now starting to get his third base, and he also wants to be aggressive. He has now the better infestor count and pushes out. A nice run by here by DRG, sniping this third. Can he save his own, though?
Yeah, that's going to be the question. There's going to be so many infested Terrans dropped if he wants them. Devastation Pit is done with Pathogen Glancer DongRaeGu, but he doesn't have a single infestor on the map to use it with. Some hesitation here by RorO, though, may allow DongRaeGu to get the time he needs to get those infestors out.
Yeah, RorO is really indecisive. He's walking back now. The third is still not targeted, and the problem for RorO is that DRG is getting so much gas now.
So much. He's got both the gases mining. He's even getting some mineral income there now as well. And DongRaeGu even has this forward position on the map where he could run in and snipe the hatchery again. He doesn't see it with his Overlord, but he'll be able to, if he spots it, just run in there, snipe it with some roaches and get out.
This additional gas for DRG is just awesome. I mean, there's just nothing else to say. The infestor count, of course, much better for RorO with his fast infestation bit that he had. He's at 7 against 1 now. But this is something that DRG will change very soon. His +2 attack upgrade is at roughly the same level as RorO's, but the supply is already in his favor.
Yeah.
Oops. And like, yeah.
You know, he's just very map aware with all these Overlords. I think he may even have too many Overlords on the map right now, but he's going to get it. He even drops a Baneling on it.
Yeah, I don't think that was really intentional.
Yeah, must have been a mistake. That was on his control group. Force to cancel. Even if he loses every Roach here, he's going to feel pretty good about this. He actually is going for another Infestor. Gets it. He could get 2. A nice burrow to save it.
Yeah, the burrow save was really well done. But yes, he loses the roaches, and if you just look at the costs of the hatch and the roaches, it was not really cost efficient. But it's about denying the mining time, especially the gas. That's the most important part. If you're ahead in gas and a ZVZ, then you're in a great position. You can get so many more roaches, infestors, and all these units that you really need. Of course, the upgrades also very important. And just look at this army composition here now. RorO tries to be aggressive, but he doesn't really find an opening. He's a bit indecisive and even drops a double expand now.
I like that choice because DongRaeGu has so many more resources built up because of having his base up. He traded some of them for the hatchery, but he's still mining, whereas RorO is not. He needs to make a catch-up happen here. Look at the production time. You can see both of them are getting Carapace. They're dead even on upgrades, but RorO is not able to make the extra infestors. He's not able to get the Hydralisk sent up just yet. Even DongRaeGu adding spine crawlers right now because he knows that RorO may just attack him because he knows he's behind at this point.
Hydralisks are going to be part of the game for DRG very, very soon. We have more infestors being built. He's catching up with the infestor count. He will have a lot of energy. And also the upgrades are roughly even. There's the range upgrade for the Hydralisk. He has Burrow. He has everything that he needs. The supply is very similar. RorO actually taking just a slight lead here.
A bunch of Lings do go down as they try to run by, but DongRaeGu is very positional with this. He moves the infestors of his own towards that very critical base in the center of the map. If he can snipe it here, it's going to be great. And RorO does not cancel.
And DRG is double expanding.
This may be too many roaches to lose, and he decides, yeah, that's too much. I'm not even gonna touch that like that.
Yeah, he backs off, and now he can actually use his own bundles, and that's exactly what he does. Uses the infested Terrans. This is the time where he wants to fight, but there are not a lot of roaches.
Yeah, actually, RorO's going to take a great engagement here. His Infested Terrans were way more than DongRaeGu's, as he had more Infestors here.
And DRG didn't have the Hydralisk with his army, so there was nothing to... Well, when the Hydralisk arrived, there was nothing left to shield them. So he has to back off. DRG just got he got just smacked in his face.
Yeah, that was a smackdown for sure. He got the better concave, but he did not have enough energy on his Infestors. No Hydralisk to back him up. Now, RorO has the double expand up and running. He's got gas fully mining at his top right base, and he's going to take some gas at his center location pretty soon. DongRaeGu has a lot of catching up to do in supply. That was a massively bad trade for him. He doubles his opponent's resources lost 10,000 to 5,000.
Yeah, that was brutal. He didn't want to pick this fight. I mean, I feel like he didn't really know how much there was. It was not his entire army, and that was the big problem. RorO had all his units together, and he used them. Now the big advantage that DRG, of course, has is that he still has a lot of Hydralisks, and they can do so much damage. That DPS is insane, but he's lacking the Roaches.
He likes the Roaches, but here comes a fight. He gets some Infestors here. That was a really nice trade for him. He's going for a counterattack. He'll catch the Queen, but these Spine Crawlers that were made earlier on are going to be really helpful. But again, this can be positional because DongRaeGu now has a shot at the 4th base in the middle of the map as well.
180 supply against 160.
Oh, if he gets that 4th base, it would be so good. It's already low on hit points, but I don't think he can get there in time. I think RorO's going to have his defenses ready.
Yeah, RorO is already there. The army supply is fairly even, though. RorO with 126 against 116 for DRG.
And consider DongRaeGu has those 11 Hydras in his army as well.
Yeah, and currently we have RorO getting his own Hydra then, but the Hydralisk with the DPS, that's really going to be a big issue for RorO. If he has to face them, it's not going to be easy for him. It's going to actually be pretty tough if he doesn't break through the Roach line of DRG.
Yep, this is not going to be easy. Roach Burrow movement is actually done now for RorO, but he's not able to get through here. The Queen's even adding some extra DPS. He wants to find an opening where he can force DongRaeGu back while he really starts to catch up on all those resources. He took a few good engagements, so that kept him back in this game. DongRaeGu's slightly ahead in the worker count, but the Hydralisks are building for RorO now, and he's getting +2 Carapace way ahead of DongRaeGu.
DRG has a lot of advantages now. He has the better Infestor count, he has the Hydralisk. If he pushes now and gets a good position on his opponent, then this 4th base might fall.
The longer he waits, though, yeah, exactly. This is so tense because the longer he waits, the worse he's going to be in upgrades. RorO is getting +2 for Carapace. He's starting his Hive now as well. And DongRaeGu has got to figure out how to attack here. Does he want to try to send a group of 12 Roaches to the north? Does he want to actually break down to this concave, down this wide ramp? That's even a riskier choice, perhaps, than sending Roaches to the north. It's a tough choice to make right now. He's spreading his creep very aggressively, something that RorO is not doing, so he can reinforce if he loses his army once.
Yeah, that's a nice thing, especially in gas, but yeah, when it comes down to the fights, positioning is now everything. They both have a great army, they have good upgrades. RorO with an advantage very soon in the armor upgrades, but the positioning in this game is going to be essential. If you have the better concave, and also if you can shield your Hydralisk, you have such a good position on your opponent. It's going to be tricky. The high ground now belongs to RorO. We have the Spine Crawler, that's the expansion not ready just yet. The Roaches kill the Queen.
Yep, and this is a moment where the spines here for DongRaeGu are going to actually be arguably more useful than RorO's because he can move them with the creep.
3 more Infestors just died to another Fungal. And now the Infestor count is fairly even, 10 to 9.
Now, there are a few Spine Crawlers up for RorO, but if DongRaeGu actually continues to use it, we have seen late game ZVZ situations where both players use their Spine Crawlers to be positional until Broodlords come out. But RorO looks like he doesn't want the game to get to that point. He's going for the attack. He's now on the creep. He's moving in, and we are going to have a base elimination race as DongRaeGu has decided he's not turning around.
Yeah, DongRaeGu is moving in as well. Army supply is exactly the same at this point. And here we go. We have RorO heading towards the natural of his opponent, trying to make this work. And what does DRG do? He's moving into his opponent's main base right now, taking out every single Spine Crawler. This is a little bit insane. DRG building a lot of spines now in his 3rd.
And this is what I was talking about, man. You know, the Infestors are so useful with the Spine Crawlers together.
Bottom left, guys. We can't see it on screen, but a lot of Infestors of RorO are actually trapped and dying.
Yeah, and DongRaeGu is facing RorO's defenses, which are lacking Spine Crawlers, lacking Infestors. He's only got Hydralisks, which are not going to be very useful at defense like this.
Both of them are trying to get as many Infestors now as possible. They know that in the base race scenario, the energy units are the most important ones.
And RorO has sent his entire army back. He's actually going to trap DongRaeGu inside of his base. But if DongRaeGu gets the better concave on the top of the ramp, it's going to be hard for RorO to engage. And he also now has Hydralisk on the main, whereas RorO only has Roaches on the low ground. It's going to be very hard to actually break into that main base.
He has the better range, exactly. But look at this Infestor count, 13-6 in favor of DRG.
And the energy units become so important in these crisis situations and these base elimination races.
RorO, of course, tries to rebuild his infestation pit. Also, DRG starting with his tech structures. But this game, at this point, even though DRG is behind in supply with the units that he has, it's not looking too bad.
Mining is really similar for these two players. DongRaeGu, though, with about double the gas, income about 400 to 200 because he does have his geysers up. A big breakup here by RorO. He wants to get in.
The Infestors were way too far to the front, and now look at this. RorO is breaking through. He's losing a lot of units, but DRG is losing a lot more.
Yeah, a great trade for RorO here. Now doubles DongRaeGu's supply. He needs to go now, though. He needs to actually attack. Can he break through all of DongRaeGu's Infestors, though? I don't think so. There's too many with the Spine Crawlers. He literally has 7 Spine Crawlers at this base. He's making it looks like... Yeah, he's actually moving 5 additional ones. He's going to have 12 with those Infestors.
The problem is that this is one island, one safe haven for DRG. The rest of the map belongs to RorO. He has 100 army supply against 30. This is just too much. DRG is losing his tech. He's losing his production capabilities. He just doesn't really have a chance. 2 bases mining is not going to be enough against the Casper player. He's getting more and more bases right now. RorO is in a great position to take this game, even though he's down on Infestors. He will get his infestation pit. In fact, he already rebuilt it. And with the resource that he has in the mining, he can overpower DRG.
Yeah, DRG actually doesn't have a lot of minerals. He's got a lot of gas, and that's what I was talking about with his income earlier, but with the gas he has, he can't really remax, and RorO doesn't have to attack. If he wants to use his army advantage, that's the massive army advantage he has right now, he needs to attack now, but he doesn't have to do that. The lair is now gone for DongRaeGu. He lost his Roach when he had to rebuild that. His Baneling Nest is gonna bleed out, which is not too important. I don't think we'll see a single additional Baneling in this game.
The big problem was really that the first fight was something that DRG should not have started.
Yeah.
He should have waited for another 2 minutes and then just maxed out on Roaches. That's all that he needed to do. He could overpower his opponent with the extra gas that he had, but he fought a fight where he thought he had the better army, but in fact he didn't. RorO just had too much. The Hydralisks weren't ready, so DRG suddenly lost his edge on the game, and RorO is making him pay for it.
RorO is building the Infestors and needs to fight. The biggest disadvantage he had was in Infestors, and he's neutralizing that by making more and more. 3 more on the way. It's going to put him up to 12 to 15, and he's got the better worker count. He's got 36 Roaches to 17, more than doubling DongRaeGu's Roach count. And DongRaeGu's just rebuilt his lair. Before he can make any more Infestors, he's going to have to rebuild that infestation pit. And everything is just looking really shaky for DongRaeGu right now. He can't really get an edge in this game. As long as he is patient, or that is, he can't lose. This is one way to attempt an edge. He's going to try to target down the hatchery. And in fact, he may get it.
Yeah.
He will. That's one small victory there.
There was a lot of Infestors. Is he really that fast with the hotkeys? For a second that looked like a mouse wheel. Like the mouse wheel.
Yeah.
But it's the mouse, it can't be. A mouse
it's
wheel,
banned.
Mouse wheel is banned in the GSL. And the players know that.
Yeah, there's no chance he would risk it, especially since it's on camera right now. But yeah, that was insanely fast. A lot of players are getting better at that right now.
Yeah.
And DongRaeGu is actually being very positional here. He forces units back to the Infested Terrans. Now he's going to take out a small group of RorO's units. And DongRaeGu is just showing that he knows exactly where and when to fight. He
fights his way back into this. It's actually a little bit crazy if you think about it. It's kind of unbelievable.
It really is. And now he's got enough Spine Crawlers here to where he can buy time to come back. If RorO gets his army trapped here and loses it, DongRaeGu actually may be able to take a lead.
It looks like RorO thinks he has to fight right now. RorO is going in and DRG is defending. He's funneling everything. The funnel is everywhere. The Spine Crawlers are also in position. DRG is losing a lot, but is RorO really able to power through? The army supply is still in favor of RorO, but he's losing a lot. This battle is crazy.
It's hard to tell who's really ahead here. And DongRaeGu is actually pushing everything back with all those Roaches. He takes the supply lead, and now he can chase down the Hydralisk. RorO fought the wrong battle here, and now DongRaeGu takes the lead. He's got a timing. RorO does not have the Spine Core setup that DongRaeGu does. He no longer has the infestation infestor count that he needs.
10 to 5. This is too much. DRG DRG just took a lead in this game. It looked like RorO was unbeatable after these engagements. He was 100 army supply against 30, but he picked the wrong fight.
Yeah, he made one critical mistake, and sometimes that's all it takes. DongRaeGu now walking across the map with his units. RorO's got some infestors here. He could try to trap these roaches. One fungal is not very good.
And the next, if DRG is able to force a fight right now, RorO is probably not gonna survive. 5 to 14 infestors. The amount of infested Terrans alone could break RorO now.
Yeah. This is a moment where DongRaeGu is waiting a little bit longer to get the rest of his infestors he just made across the map. He's got so much more energy in those. He's being super patient here, something that RorO actually did not do in that last fight. And RorO is desperately trying to find an angle where he can try to cut DongRaeGu off. But DongRaeGu is just so patient and so careful with how he moves his units. You know, he doesn't have burrow movement, but that upgrade is not too significant when this matchup has a lot of fungals. There's overseers in both armies. And here we go. I think he's just going to end him here. Infested Terrans being dropped like mad rather than fungals, and I like this choice this time.
Yeah, but he's moving back, and I really like how RorO approaches this. He knows that the infested Terrans struggle a little bit with the mobility, but they move in, and this base is now under pressure. He's even pulling every single drone off the mineral line as he knows that he can't save it.
And this is why I like the choice by DongRaeGu, because he knows that he's not going to be vulnerable to a counterattack. With all the spines he has at home, he feels relatively safe.
And DRG is just building infestors. That's the only unit that he wants to have now. He's building 6 additional ones that will put his infestor count up to 20 against 5.
And the income right now is still fairly similar. DongRaeGu has taken a base at the bottom right. It's not complete yet. He's remaking his Hydralisk Den. DongRaeGu actually is just, he's a genius, basically. I mean, the way he was patient, he knew that he would likely lose this game, but he was like, I'm not going to make any mistakes. I'm going to be patient. Then I'm going to take my advantages and use them. He's down in supply, but the situation he finds himself in is a really good one.
As long as he has infestor energy, these infestors will be able to win him the game. If RorO doesn't get a good engagement and is able to fight his opponent's army, maybe catch those infestors off guard, he will always be in a position where the sheer amount of infested Terrans will put him at a disadvantage. He just doesn't have the numbers that he needs in order to take down this army. He's completely relying on Roach Hydralisk, but his infestor count is just not good enough. 5 to 20.
A little bit of harassment here as well. Will get a force at burrow. You know, that's in a situation where mining is so important and both players are so low on mining. Forcing a burrow like that, it's like, oh, he didn't kill any drones, but guess what? All those drones being burrowed for that long is actually a huge hit to his economy.
RorO is now at 180 supply against 155 and starts to build infestors on his own. DRG just waiting for more energy to accumulate on the caster units that he has. But if he starts to move out, and that's exactly what he does, he can force with fungal and infested Terrans a battle that will most likely end in his favor. Once again, positioning is going to be important here.
RorO's up 15 supply here, but you can make supply out of energy with infestors, so that's not even that telling here.
Yeah, out of thin air.
Basically, yeah. And this is a situation now where RorO just is hoping for a good engagement while he rebuilds his infestor count. But no matter what, he's never going to match DongRaeGu's. It's actually physically impossible. He can't make enough infestors to match his count. He's going to be too close to max. So he needs to maybe try to start trading units. That was unfortunate.
What just happened?
He just killed an infestor. One of RorO's infestors out of position, it looked like.
Ah, okay, one of RorO's infestors that try. Okay. I was like, what? Why did he kill his own infestor? Yeah, thanks. That didn't make any sense for a second, so this was, yeah. Well, right now we have DRG. He's looking for trouble.
He is. He's trying to find an opening. RorO's roach count is double that of DongRaeGu's, so that's the one advantage he has where it's like, okay, if I can fight you and catch your infestor from the back or something, maybe I can win this fight. But the thing is, it just doesn't matter when you can actually pull, like you said, out of thin air, more supply and more DPS than the roaches could ever hope for. With all these Hydralisks he has as well, he has 17 Hydralisks versus 20, and I mean, that's 20 on DongRaeGu's side, but with all the fungals, the Hydralisks are going to be able to do more damage than RorO's Hydralisks will be able to do.
Now it's about position, and DRG knows exactly, thanks to his Overseer and Roach, where RorO is, and he's using it to his advantage. He's trying to get into position at the top left and mid base, and he is in a great position right now. He drops the infested Terrans, early enough so that they can assist in the main battle. And for RorO, it's so difficult to engage here. This is a mass battle of infested Terrans. They spawn for every single side. And of course also the bundles are being dropped. Just look at this battle. DRG is dropping in supply, but now the infested Terrans are out and they do damage. RorO is still ahead in overall supply, but can he really win this?
It looks like he may. The engagement went really well for him there. And now DongRaeGu's Infestors run back home with their tails between their legs. DongRaeGu actually not using all of his Infested Terrans initially in that battle because he didn't have enough space to use them really. There wasn't really any other place for him to drop them. And now RorO takes a significant lead here, but the Infestor count is still better for DongRaeGu. He's still rebuilding that energy.
And this is a little bit crazy. You think about it, because DRG was able to get into the perfect position. He was hitting the base in the top center. When RorO was just moving back, he kind of outsmarted him with his movements and forced him to the right first, and then took advantage of RorO's position. But RorO was just able to break through DRG's units regardless.
Call me crazy color, but something else to think about that we haven't even really touched on is that DongRaeGu actually has 20. He actually has 19 spine crawlers. He could actually move them and use them to fight. They're actually just sitting there. What if he actually sent 8 spine crawlers to one of the bases? That would be really annoying for RorO to deal with.
Actually, this last battle, RorO using Fungus against the Infested Terrans really paid off, but now he is pressuring DRG. It's the reverse situation, and DRG is running a little bit out of energy for his Infestors. Both of them are dropping Infested Terrans. There are Fungus everywhere for the extra area of back damage, but this base is under pressure. DRG is once again dropping in supply. He's nearly down to 100.
He doesn't have any support for his Infestors, and RorO is actually going to overpower him here.
Even though he has the smaller Infestor count, the roaches that he has are just too strong. He forces DRG back, he takes this base. DRG now down to 1 mining base, whereas RorO was always able to defend his own bases. It's quite impressive how strong RorO presents himself here. 1 or 2 mistakes in the fight, in the game, 1 or 2 battles that he shouldn't have taken where DRG got an edge, but in the end, RorO overpowers him.
GG! A 41-minute ZVZ, and it was so back and forth, but the Kespel player RorO does prevail.
Did you see just DRG scratching his head? He's like, okay, why exactly did I lose this? I had so many Infestors, I should have won. Why didn't that go my way? And it was just because RorO played this so well. The Fungals against the Infested Terrans, his own Infested Terrans, the DPS with his roaches, this beefy army.
Yeah.
Great play.
That game was really... I don't want to sound what is this word? I don't want to. I'm actually just having a moment here where not overhyped. But what I wanted to say was that game was so high level. I didn't want to say, okay, I didn't want to sound cliche. That's the word I was couldn't pull out of my hat there. But that game was so high level with the decisions both players are making. And I again, what if DongRaeGu, with that fight that he took that he didn't win, what if he brought his spine crawlers there? He had a ton of creep. What if he just goes to the base of top left instead of the center base? His creep was spread 3/4 of the way there. He could have brought his spine crawlers. Yeah. They're just kind of sitting there.
The problem is if you get the spine crawlers, you open yourself up to a run by. And if you lose one of these bases while you're attacking on your own, find yourself in a base trade scenario again, then you might lose the game. He tried to play it safe, and he thought with the amount of Infestors that he had, that he definitely had the edge, but still, RorO played this just so well. His unit control in the fights itself was just a little bit better, and I'm quite impressed here. We talked about DRG's, maybe his lack of preparation because of the OSL semi-final that he had to play. RorO today with a 1-0 lead over the ESF player. Will we have one Kespel player advance to Code S? Is it going to be RorO? We'll find out now. Ohana is game number 2. The map has been loaded, and we are jumping right into the battle between RorO and DRG. The third round of Korea, brought to you by Carl Wolf.